What's up, America? Neil here with Geauga Firearms Academy. Thanks for watching. Today we're going to talk about how we can shoot more accurately and faster. And a word about faster. Everybody assumes when we talk about shooting faster that we're physically moving faster or doing something faster. This is it. This is as fast as we really realistically need to be able to move this finger. And notice that when I say this finger, I mean like this, not like this. It's not about moving the finger or intensifying that. It's about how we have, what kind of platform that we have the firearm in. So, for my example today, we're going to be using our orange gun. And this is, think about this. If I were to put this guy into a vise and I were to pull the trigger with a string or whatever, it would be as accurate as the ammo allows because the gun physically cannot move. Now, no matter how much we try or how good we are, we will never achieve that. We will never be able to make it perfectly still all the time. We're going to have some minor deviations because we're human beings. That said, let's think about a couple things. If I think that to shoot faster, I need to move my finger faster, let's just say that this is a gun with a 6-pound trigger, whatever it is, okay? Ideally, to create the least amount of movement when I have to move my finger, I want to use like 6.1 pounds of pressure, right? I want to do just enough to be able to make the trigger function, but not so much that I'm yawing the gun, right? So I'm not doing this with the gun. We all have what's called sympathetic response, and as we go to curl our fingers, when we go to grab something, all our fingers want to curl together. And since on my grip, I already have the majority of my fingers curled around when I just choose to make this one move, they all still want to come along for the ride. And that's something that we have to work on through repetition. Now, let's get to the meat and potatoes of how this actually works. When we're talking about the grip, and everybody's got their own philosophy on this one, but here's mine. I want to be able to, and by the way, to be very clear, when it comes to the shooting hands, this would be I'm a right-hander, so this is my right hand, my trigger finger. This one really isn't as important as this one. So let's get into the details on that. So I have my lovely model assistant here, Kim. She's going to be showing you this little demonstration here. And again, this is all about the support hand. So in this particular case, Kim's a right-hand shooter. We're going to be using her left hand as the demonstration. So, yeah, Kim, if you would just face me for a second. So just put your thumb up like this.
Okay.
All right. So now, all I want you to do here is just resist me. So as I go to press against you, I want you to resist me. And as you can see here, Kim has to use a lot of her strength of her forearm and wrist in order to prevent me from moving this back and forth, right? Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
All right, now this time, and this is super important, I want you to take your thumb and point it towards the target.
Okay.
So you're going to crank your wrist forward like that. So as you can see now, from the tip of Kim's thumb to her elbow, so even if her elbow was bent, right, even if it was this way, that's fine. As long as from the tip of her thumb to her elbow, we have this good structural alignment, this bone alignment. So now, go ahead and straighten your arm back out. So as you saw earlier when I was pushing on her thumb and I was able to rock her wrist back and forth, this time I can push really hard and
That's nothing.
and she's locked in there, and then the deal is, was that a lot of muscle force you used?
Not at all.
Okay, so put your thumb up, just one real quick one. Again, so I do the same thing. She has to use, force against me. She has to use her wrist to tighten. Now put it forward. And now this way, it's about structural alignment. To show this in action, obviously using my proper grip. So I want my shooting hand, the webbing of my hand, I want that to be on the back strap of the pistol, all the way to the top. This is called the beaver tail or the tang. And I want that all the way up, almost where the skin's bunching together. That's what I'm looking for. No gap at all. And of course, all the way up on the front. Now, and obviously I'm going to keep my finger in the proper position, which is on the frame. Not here, definitely not here, here. I'm going to make sure my thumb is flagged up out of the way, because this is super important. If I bury my thumb, no matter what I do with this grip, it's almost useless because very little of my actual support hand is making contact with the grip. So we're going to get that guy up out of the way. Then, just as I showed, and this is the secret sauce, if you will, I want to make sure that this thumb doesn't go on the gun this way, it goes in the gun this way. So I have my thumb pointing forward, which again is going to give me that structural alignment. And I'm going to basically meet the two meats of my hand together. I don't want a gap in there. So that's going to go forward onto the gun, and then I can wrap my fingers in and close it. So this is what I'm looking for. Now another fine detail that people want to know about is this thumb here. And the answer is, I don't care. If you want your thumb up here, if you want your thumb here, if you want your thumb here, it doesn't really matter to me. I've noticed from watching videos of myself shooting that my thumb varies a bit, and it's not something I consciously think about. It doesn't really matter. It's immaterial. What's super important is that this hand is cranked forward, and I've got good structural alignment on here, just like this. So speed and accuracy, how does this all equate to that? Well, as far as speed goes, really, when it's from shot to shot, or even from the holster onto the target, it's about getting the gun in a position where I can look, use either my sights, I'm a sights guy, you might be a red dot, that's totally cool. Either one, whatever system you're using, I need to be able to get that onto my target as efficiently as possible. Rushing the gun out there, the simple physics of every action requires equal and opposite reaction. Same concept here. If I jam the gun out there, then I have to put the brakes on just as hard. And what typically happens is at the end of this presentation, you're going to see this fishing movement because I'm trying to find my dot or my sights, and that's going to make me ultimately go slower. So by providing a good grip on here, when I drive that gun out there, I have a smooth presentation. I want to be able to see, in my case, through my rear sight, focused on my front sight to be able to take that shot, or on that target where I superimpose that dot onto there to be able to take my shot with a red dot. Either case, that structural alignment is going to help me achieve that. Also, it's going to help me, and most importantly, shot to shot. Okay? So if I have this much recoil with the gun, I have to now drop it back down and again find my sights. In this particular case, if I'm using proper structural alignment here, the gun you're going to find is going to recoil much less. Because instead of using force or strength, I'm now using structural alignment. So that's how I'm going to ultimately be faster. Now what about accuracy? How is this going to help me in my accuracy? Well, as I said at the very beginning of this, if I put this in a vise and I press the trigger, it would be as accurate as the ammo allows, meaning that the least amount of movement will yield the highest accuracy results. Well, that's exactly what I want to do as a shooter. I want the least amount of movement as I shoot this gun as possible, also called recoil management. But nonetheless, forgetting shot to shot, just driving the gun out there, finding my front sight, and slowly pressing that trigger. As I said earlier, if this is a 6-pound trigger, I want to use 6.1 pounds. Well, even if I mess that up, even if I press too much on there, if I have a good, strong support hand, which is far more important, nice, good structure there, that's going to help me mitigate the yaw of the gun. So when it's out there, if I did press 8, 9, 10 pounds when I shouldn't have, if I've got good structure here, that should help really mitigate how much of that gun actually moves. To finish this out and wrap this all up in a bow for you, at the end of the day, this is all well and good, and if this is something that you think is going to help you out, you got to practice this. Knowing this means absolutely nothing. Knowledge is not power. The application of that knowledge in a positive way or an effective way is what's going to give you the power. So in order to get the benefit of this, you're going to have to do a lot of dry fire, meaning that we're going to check the gun, make sure it's unloaded or clear, and there's no ammo in the room, and we're going to practice this over and over and over. Repetition is king here. And then, of course, we're going to take that to the range and practice at live fire. Both are important. Both are important to make sure that we translate this knowledge into a useful skill. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. You know where to find us here on YouTube. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, and we put all our... Oh, and Rumble. Don't let me forget Rumble. And we put all our premium content on Patreon. And just so you guys know, when you ask for a question on Patreon, we make a video specifically for that for you. It's your Patreon. Until next time, remember, it's always better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6.